Hey everybody, I've got my attorney Ben Campagna on the phone. I'm gonna send him a link, bring him on. All right, so I got Garrett Smith. Hey Garrett, you got me?
Yeah. Here,
Let's see. How you doing, Garrett?
well, pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh man, I could be better. I certainly we shouldn't be having these issues, Garrett.
I think that the process is the process for a reason, and
Okay.
I don't think it's bad to go through that process. So we'll go through it, and hopefully, you understand that, I can be gracious as I can, but I can't not, just make sure that I'm protecting my client under
I
under the
I can
rules that I have. So,
right. Well, but see, and here's my position on all of that
oh,
is
here, before we jump on, is your attorney still on?
Ben. Are you on?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here.
Rule 4.2 says that I can't talk to someone I know is represented by counsel about a matter they're represented on. That's why I was asking about the scope
No,
of
no, no. He's
representation.
not representing.
So
No,
you have my
Okay.
permission to speak to him directly, just here as in an advisory capacity.
right.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for clearing that up. And then Matthew, just for your information, if you do hire counsel to represent you on this matter,
I
it
don't need.
doesn't.
I don't need counsel.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
This is an easy enough issue, Garrett. Y'all ought to be embarrassed to yourselves right now. Like this is so it's so outrageous. I believe that there's an accountability, a general accountability to the public, and this is what this is why I wanted to have this meeting is because there's a couple of things in particular at play here. Okay, the first being now for both times in a row you've got Kylie that arbitrarily and capriciously denies my fee waiver with absolutely no um, justification for for any of it. It was the same thing that was marked. In fact, you've got it pulled up. It was the notwithstanding, um, and this is why, as I told you in the email, Garrett, a simple, you know, me doing a simple request that this all this could have been, you know, y'all could have just simply turned over the simple answer instead of hardballing me. But see, what's happened here is in hardballing me and denying me has made me go deeper and wider into this investigation. This is now an this is basically where I'm at. You got the last grammar request, third grammar request I sent in now. I would have had no reason to send in a grammar request asking for the last over 2 years requests by members of the media, of the press, just to see how many of those put in for the normal press waiver that the state of Utah actually promotes. Okay. So if they're putting in for that and if they're getting public records and they're not having to pay for it and they're getting it within 5 days and I'm not, then we have a serious damn issue because that means that was a viewpoint discrimination without look. I mean, that was immediate on both of those. She denied my fee. That's a major issue right there for Morgan. Okay. That, that, I mean,
And you'll get
there's
the records and it'll show what it is. But I mean, you always throw out the arbitrary and capricious.
because
Those
it
are very
is.
specific with legal
Then why did
definitions,
she
and
do it?
it's not what it is
You're the county attorney. Why did she do it?
because I directed them to do what they do for every. I said treat everyone the same. If you require a fee for media, then require a fee. Treat
So
them
so when
exactly
I
the
get
same.
this, so when I get this grammar request, if it's actually accurate, okay, it's going to show me that every media company, every journalist, anybody over the last couple of years that's made a request into Morgan County? This is because now this is an audit. Okay. This is a full-blown audit because now am I going to see with this grammar request that I've already showed Morgan County with this last complaint, which I'll be honest with you, I haven't even filed it yet because before I could file it, y'all went and did this. And so now it's like, okay, well, do I file it on that? And then do I file another separate claim? Or since I hadn't filed it yet, basically amend it to add the latest that Morgan's done. And I mean, how can you explain if I get these records and I know what's going to happen? I know if they're accurate and they're not manipulated, they're going to show exactly what I'm saying. That I guarantee you, people with the media, because this is something the state of Utah actively promotes. They want the dissemination of public records. I've been very forthcoming in everything. As I said, I've not held one thing back. I have disseminated because I think that transparency is very, very important. And Morgan County clearly does not. And so every stage of the way, I've been blocked on this instead of Morgan County being, open to transparency. And that's
So,
where I
Matthew,
feel
I
like,
think I just have to disagree with you on that. I've sat down with you multiple times. You ask me questions, I answer when I can. I'm bound by statutes more than you are as far as just what the law requires, right? I have to classify documents that I look at. I have to look at it and classify them as protected or private, depending on the nature of the content. That's why we have an appeal process to the State Records Committee who can look at documents in camera. And if they say, you know what, Garrett, you're wrong, that isn't
do you not
falling
realize
under.
that it's common sense you're wrong? Like, is that really even something that has to go that far without you realizing how wrong this is and how you're gonna
Well,
like anything other
let's
than
see
a
what an
kangaroo court,
independent,
anything other than a
unemotional
kangaroo
person
court's gonna
thinks.
see this is fucked up, man.
Yeah, Matthew, let's see what an independent, unemotional person thinks about the situation. That's why we have the process.
I
So
mean, Ben,
play
now
through the
that you hear
process.
it,
Let's go.
Ben, now that you hear it, what is your thoughts on this?
I'd rather advise you without everybody else present.
Okay, yeah, that's perfectly fine. But I'm just
And
saying,
exactly what he just said is exactly what the records that I have to look at and classify relate to. There's certain things that attorneys talk about with their clients that they don't talk about with the opposing attorney or the opposing party. I mean, that's exactly what is coming through this partial denial. You made it very clear that you're planning to sue us, right? And
yes.
so we classify
Because I and,
records.
and I think it needs to be a public ordeal because I think the public is actually generally affected by this, which is why I said that I feel like honestly, I am basically being the liaison to the public on this issue because it's wrong and I take a stand against things that are just wrong in nature.
And that's your right to show that it's wrong, but it's my duty to uphold the law as I understand it. And if we
So
get
let
up
me
to the
ask you,
State Records Committee and they say, Garrett, you're an idiot. You're
I know,
exactly
but
everything Matt says about you. Then I'll
I
say,
mean, so you
okay,
don't
live
so
and
so
learn.
so
And here I
but
go.
okay, but see what you're doing is you're intentionally trying to add steps. So you don't want to give any type of justification for your reasoning on why I was just immediately denied when the state of Utah actually promotes this, why y'all think y'all are better than what the state of Utah is actually pushing for.
And I didn't say that either. My
Then
advice
why aren't you doing what
was to treat
naturally
everyone the
is called
same.
for? Then why aren't you doing what is naturally called for by the state? Why don't you do your job as the county attorney and look at what's going on and how the state is actually pushing this, and not actually say, you know what, he's right, okay? Because looking at the law and looking at how the state of Utah actually promotes that, I think that's actually the right call. Come on, Garrett,
Come
you're
on,
smarter
Matthew.
than that.
I mean, we've had the discussions, and if this isn't gonna, I don't know what this is gonna do. I don't know what your purpose of this call is, but I can tell
My
you that
purpose
not
of
every
this call
county
is I
attorney
publicize.
is gonna set aside time to chat with you. I'm trying to be cordial. I'm trying to answer your questions, but
But you're
there
being
are
evasive.
things.
You're being evasive, and
I'm
so I'm
not
getting
being
pissed off
evasive.
because you're being
I'm letting
evasive,
the
man.
process play, Matthew. There's a process in the state of Utah,
Uh,
and we're
uh,
gonna let it play out.
see, there's a process in the state of Utah to obstruct. That's because that's what this is. I mean, that's you're obstructing. You're trying to kick it down the road on something that you know you're going to lose on. It's common sense you're going to lose on because you don't even have a freaking defense for it. You can't even
So
defend it
Matthew,
halfway right now. So how can
you're
you ever
saying
defend
that
it
you can
then?
read my mind and tell what I'm doing? That's not what I'm doing. I mean, just because like no matter how many times we call something something it's not, it doesn't make it so. So let it play out, let it go through the system. If you have questions that I can answer that, don't have to go to a neutral third party,
All
I
right.
can take a look at it,
Yeah, I do.
invested unemotional. I just don't know where we go from here.
This is basically my whole point on the other denial, the partial denial. The one that y'all sent me everything that I sent you. Like I didn't have that, man. That is insulting. What you did to me on that partial denial. Y'all sent me the stuff I sent you. When I ask for any type of communications within the county, okay, because I have all the standing to ask for it, and I can show that with the other open case right now, and how I know. Did you ever see that video like where it actually has? It's on the YouTube channel. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've gone there and looked at it. But the I have reason to believe that you're Matthew Reardon. The way you said that, that's why I immediately thought Mark Arrington, because that's exactly what he did. Okay. And so I know that there's this collusion that's going on because, and actually, this is a good time, great news today as far as Galveston, Texas, this conspired upon DWI that locked me up for 11 months, that was an intentional conspiracy to revoke my probation and put me in prison. And they did that through this false DWI over in Galveston. I was going down as a journalist to go investigate a law enforcement corruption tip. And on the way in, there was communication from two Lafayette County Sheriff's deputies with this arresting officer over in Galveston that claimed that he smelled alcohol that I hadn't drank in 4 years. Wouldn't give me a breathalyzer. It was a complete sham that literally destroyed me. Okay. Sentence got vacated and I came over here. The Galveston case, they just dismissed the case today. That's a long time coming because there was actually a Frank's hearing that was set up to show that the officer intentionally lied over and over and over and over again. So that was tossed out today. Guess what, Garrett? There is a pattern in practice here of where this county in Lafayette County, Mississippi, Oxford, Mississippi, where they cannot seem to just stay in their own jurisdiction, stay in their own lane. And then it creates chatter that doesn't need to happen. And see, it all comes out in the wash through these grammar requests, through the truth.
And
This is why,
I'm
okay,
happy for you, Matthew, that
no,
that
you
happened.
needed to know that.
I
You
think,
needed to
yeah,
know
I think
that.
that's great.
You needed to know that to know that this is not about, this is a news worthy topic because it's something that's real. It's something that's happening. It's something that I can prove. And I've got the attorney on the line right now. Okay. And that's why I wanted to bring him on the phone, because I wanted to show right here that this is not a personal request, that I'm doing this as a member of the press to in the dissemination of a story that can't be covered up any longer.
Well, congratulations. I think that's great news. If that's what's happened, and like I said, I don't have the ability to necessarily independently verify that, but
You are just a non-empathetic motherfucker, aren't you?
no, I'm happy for you because you know what? The reason I walked you over to the bank is because I felt bad for you. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
but I can
want you
see
to
it in
feel
your
like I'm
face, and I'm
helping
good at
you,
reading people.
but you're also assigning motives and saying that things are there that aren't there.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
you. You're the gaslighter. Let's look back
that's
at the
what's going to
last
come.
video. Let's look at the last video and see who the gaslighter was. That would be you, my friend. Okay, you're not going to pull this gaslight bullshit on me today either. All right, you did it last time, and you're not going to do it right now. I'm sick and tired of this whole gaslighting bullshit with the government. Fuck that.
Okay. So where are you wanting to get the ombudsman on the phone? Like where are you wanting to go?
Yeah, I already told you. I sent you a legal demand, and I told you in the legal demand that I sent with the grammar reply, I made it very clear to the County of Morgan exactly what I was going to do in 5 days if this issue is not resolved. Okay, and I've already got the other complaint, but now we're going to go the federal route as well, and I'm going to file another petition for judicial review. Okay, I'm not. This is something that y'all are literally putting yourselves on the pedestal on something that you shouldn't even freaking. Why don't I'm trying to don't do it, man. Seriously, I'm trying to help you out. Don't look stupid, man. Don't this is common sense. Is that
I just don't know if
I
there's more
mean,
to say. We've already kind of
I
beat this
want
horse
okay,
pretty
yeah,
dead.
yeah, you know what? There is one other thing that needs to be touched on as well. Okay? And that's getting into the whole gaslighting thing. Man, everything's on video. I want to hear it, okay, to hear the sheriff and you gaslight me last time to say that people were in fear. But when you go back and you look at the damn videos, okay, and you look at the conversation and you see how, admittedly, she was being pretty provocative. The records clerk that was not what's her name, Kylie. Because if you're gonna call mine what you called mine, there's no way you can't say that what she was doing was not provocative. I mean, that doesn't hold a lick of sense. Okay. And so me just simply I never pounded on the door or anything. It's all on video. But yet y'all wanted to make it sound like she was in fear because I was asking what her name was. And you can't do that. You can't like y'all y'all done this to yourselves. I didn't want this issue, man. But it is funny to see on the partial denial that you sent me on that grammar request, the first attachment of my communication sent to y'all. That was I thought that was the best. That was actually the best thing that y'all honestly could have given me. I don't think you even realized it either.
I
But
did. I reviewed it all, and you said specifically April 1st to the present, and that was April 1st, and so we sent it. And
I
and,
mean,
and I think that that's what you can look
but
at
isn't
to
that
say
but isn't that great?
we're
Because
fulfilling
now
the
because it's
request as
about
it
it's
comes
about
in.
what you can prove. It's about what you can prove. Okay, isn't that great? Because now I can show you that because I sent that thing in about Josh, okay, and you had that long before we met the first time, that you had a fake act on then, just like you do now. and that at this point it was basically, it's been retaliation, it's been intentional because of what I sent you April 1st,
Well, actually, you sent it
or what
before
I sent you.
April, but
Yeah,
it was forwarded
yeah.
on April 1st, and that's why it fell within the request. But I didn't connect the dots. I mean, when you came to my office to interview me the first time, I didn't know you were tied to that. We were getting lots of emails about Joshua. So I didn't connect that you were tied to that request. And so you can say it's funny or whatever, but I mean,
I mean, but see,
call me that I don't have a perfect memory or whatever, but I didn't know that that was you when you came into my office.
you can say all that, that's, and all that is just, that's of course plausible deniability, but I
Or that I
mean,
get thousands of emails and I can't keep everyone straight all the time. But I mean, now I know who you
but I
are
mean,
because we've met multiple times.
but you can see how this certainly looks, right?
From your perspective, I can, but
I
I
mean, you
hope
don't
that
think
you
it
can
could
see my
be,
perspective as well. That's
but
the other side is
you
this
don't
isn't
think the
my only
majority,
case.
I know, but you don't think the majority of people, especially with everything else that's going on, you don't think the majority of the people would think the same thing, would be on my side? This is where
I'm not sure.
I'm trying to talk to you with some common sense, man.
Right. And I'm trying to talk back to you with some common sense as well. And I think that both of us probably bring baggage into every conversation. And I would say that Morgan County's track record is not what you're describing from Lafayette or wherever, Galveston, other places you've had. And that's why I was trying to say, you know what? I get that you're suing us. I'll try and help you at least get your notary. Like, I'm not going to ask someone in the building to notarize a lawsuit against us. I was trying to give you, hopefully, better treatment than you received elsewhere. But I can't. But if you think that
But y'all
I don't have
doubled down on
empathy
the
or that it's
dumb,
just an
man.
act or whatever it is, then that's what you think.
No,
And so
y'all
we have to
doubled
have
down
someone
on
else.
stupid. Y'all doubled down on stupid. Like that, like why would you do it though? Like, is there any justification or purpose? Is there anything that I'm just asking you, if you
Matthew,
could even
sometimes people are just nice guys. Like you
no, I'm
watched the
just
video where
no,
Josh comes into my office and sets up his camera right in my face. And I had forgotten about it, but my legal assistant's like, oh, yeah, I was surprised because you're moving things off your desk to get a place for his big camera to point right at. And I'm like, well, maybe some people are just nice and they try and be courteous with people and try and help them
no,
out when
I
they
get it.
can.
No,
Like, I don't
no,
know. Like maybe I'm just a devil hiding behind a smile and I'm just a terrible government worker. Maybe I am. But give me the
I
benefit
just
of the
want to
doubt and
know.
say, hey, he tried to help me out that day. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you did. You did. It just costed you a walk across the street, but that's you
Well, and I
did.
was late.
Okay.
I told you I had an engagement and I was late to that.
I had an
And
engagement a while back with the public records that were supposed to
yeah,
have been
and that
produced, and that got blown too.
yeah,
So why should I really care about an engagement you had at 4 o'clock on a work day whenever I needed help then?
yeah,
That's not my
but
problem. Y'all
here's
should have produced the public record request. That's
not if there
simple.
wasn't even a complete request, and now we're going back in circles. So
It
why
is
don't
it
we?
it is a pretty circular conversation,
It
but it
is, and
does make
so
sense. No, I just want to know one thing, Garrett. Just one thing. I'm not okay. Hold on to your hand. Okay, that's fine. I'm asking you, and you should be able to give this. Okay, this is an easy answer. What possible reasons? Okay, I'm not asking for the reason, but what possible reasons could one give for, I don't know, just um, wanting to deny somebody a fee waiver that's a member of the media that the state of Utah actually promotes? I just want to know. I mean, what possible? If we're talking about hypotheticals here, what possible answers could one give?
well, I think it goes back to the conversation we had in my office hallway about the very case that brought you here is about discrimination, treating people differently. And so my direction and my advice when they asked me, what do we do on these? I said, treat it the same you would any other request that's similarly situated. That's what we say to do. And so if you disagree with that, I think that's your
No, I
right.
don't.
And we
I
appeal
don't,
it,
but
and then we have an independent third party look at it. It's not
no,
that
I
hard.
know. I know, but what's even easier though for the county is, and like I said, if the county's actually being honest here, then what I'm saying is going to come out on the grandma request. So if what you're saying is actually the truth, and you're able to actually see right now that what I'm saying is the truth by the grammar request that I made, and it comes out that anybody in the media or the press is getting fee waivers, but I'm not, then you automatically lose on that. There's no that's where that's the disconnect here. Is you should be able to make the
But
smart
you're
decision
accusing
now.
us of doing something that we haven't done.
Okay, then what
And
I'm
so
saying
until
is,
you get the records, I think just
I
hold
know,
your
but
judgment until you get
no,
the records.
I know that, but I'm saying that my request has already been sent in, and you obviously know about it. So you could
I don't know
actually,
about your latest one. They haven't
I'm
sent it
just,
to me.
yes, I have, yes, I have, yes, I have,
Oh, you mean you sent it in your email? Is that what
yeah,
you're saying? Okay.
yes, you've
Well,
seen
send
it,
it. I
dude.
have not,
No,
I
look,
didn't go through it,
no,
but
we're not
yeah.
playing. Nah, this is where I'm going to put my foot down again, just on principle,
Matthew,
because
I'm telling you, I
I
did not look
complied
at
with
all
the
the
Graham Act.
attachments, but I'm going to pull them up right
No,
now.
I complied with the Graham Act through that email sent to you, and I know you got it, and it meets all the requirements, and so it's officially brought it to your attention. I don't care about filling out your form and sending it in. I met all the requirements of the Graham statute and send what I sent you to your email. And so
Okay.
you
Yep.
have
And
the
I
ability,
see it now. But I had
you have
not
the
read through the
ability to
attachment.
actually
That's
look
all
into
I'm
that
saying.
right now. And if you find that out right now, but yet you're still holding your guns, do you not realize the issue that this creates for the county? Because whereas I do have to wait that 5 days, you could find out right away. And if this is still really your official position, it's not going to look good for the county.
And I can agree with you on that. If we've treated you differently than others, that's the same thing that I've been saying consistently.
It's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Is
So,
I was going to turn that right back around on you, what you've consistently said,
yeah.
and show that that's a
And I
lie.
have the self-awareness to admit that you're absolutely right there. Like I totally agree with you. And that's why I'm trying to be consistent so that we don't have an issue like you're bringing up if we hadn't been consistent. So, but yeah, I pulled that one up. I'm looking at it right now, and like I said, we'll get on it. And I hope you know, I mean, we tried to at least get you some response as quick as we could on the other as well. So we weren't just sitting
I
on it.
just
There
I
was some
just think that
discussion. I
I
said,
just
hey,
well,
let's just get it done if we can within the time
yeah,
frame.
one thing that I wanted to touch on that I think is actually a matter of importance is also the issue of the withheld communication in anticipation of litigation. Because here's the thing, if that's the case, the precedent that sets for a city or a county to basically do the same thing and then sit on the evidence, that forces the legal action. Okay, that basically, and I was going back and I was thinking about what you told me the last time that we sat down, about modifying or not modifying it, giving me the standing. I would have to respectfully disagree right there, because I think the standing is honestly, it's the same thing as a threat of arrest. You don't have to actually be arrested for you to have the standing to sue on something. All it takes is the threat of arrest to convey.
What I want to convey is just because you're asking, I don't think that that makes us at odds with each other necessarily. I think that there's a system in place. We both have different rights or obligations. I guess arguably I have more obligations under the state code, right, as a public figure and so forth. But I think that as we go through this process, we'll be able to pin down a little bit more of what the Grandma statute is. And like you said, if you think that the Grandma statute itself isn't what it should be, then maybe it does justify a change. But until then, I do disagree with you in saying that that the government would have to
Well, I mean,
be
they
transparent on
could,
everything. Like, just for example, I did a training on open meetings last night for the county, and we were talking about closed sessions. And there's reasons that you can close a session, and it's to talk about the character, competence, professional competence of an individual. You can talk about collective bargaining. You can talk about the acquisition or disposition of property. You can talk about pending or reasonably imminent litigation. You can talk about security, deployment of security and personnel. There's all these things in the code that says these are things that we don't disclose to the public, even though we're a government entity.
no, but
And
that's not. But
here, let me finish.
Leighton turned theirs
No,
over.
let me
Why aren't
finish.
y'all?
Right. And so we have those things because the county doesn't have to be disadvantaged in a litigation just because they have to disclose things that are prepared in anticipation of litigation. If someone is saying, "Hey, I'm going to sue you," and there's communications going back and forth about that, then those are classified as protected under GRAMA,
No,
and they
they're
don't have to
not.
be disclosed. They are. It's
So
exactly
okay,
what's outlined.
but okay, but what's the originating thing? The originating thing was the county violating my constitutional rights, the county violating grandma. And that's why I didn't come forward and say, hey, I'm suing the county for no reason. I said, hey, I'm suing the county because the county is wanting to be too boneheaded on this just complete violation of my rights, not only under the grandma law, but under my constitutional right as well. And it's known about it. It's not like this has been continuously brought. And do you know what that really honestly at this point spells, Garrett? It's not hard to
I
show.
could argue the
It's
same thing, that you
it
not providing your name, not
okay.
providing an address as required by the statute was a setup for the county to deny you for not following the statute so that you had standing to sue and challenge the grandma statute,
Well, let's
which is
go.
fine. Like if you did that, like I can't stop you from doing that
That's
either.
not what that is not what it was at all. But if you want to try
But
to
but
bend
here's
the
what I'm
narrative
saying,
into that,
Matthew,
then
is I
let's
can say
go.
that that's possible. And I'm not saying that you did it. I'm just saying it's possible. And every possibility you're throwing back at me, you're accusing me of
But
colluding and
but
that I did something and you
you
don't
know what the
know.
difference you know what the difference is here? The
That
difference
I'm a
is
public servant and so
no,
you can
no, the
assign
difference,
corruption to
no,
me.
no, the difference is y'all are considered an enterprise. And in an enterprise, when an enterprise commit, there are two or more acts that an enterprise commits right here. Okay. It shows a continued conspiracy, and that falls under the civil RICO statute.
Or it shows consistency.
But if you're wrong, it shows civil RICO. Okay,
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing.
there's a very fine line between arresting somebody and kidnapping somebody, holding somebody on bail, holding somebody on ransom. There's a very, very fine line right there. That's what I'm saying, Garrett. And y'all are
And
crossing that line.
and I'm not disagreeing with you on any of that. I feel like, toward the end of these conversations, we always come to the same point as we're not really disagreeing over the law, we're just disagreeing over the facts. And I guess we'll see where the independent third party looks at it and says, yeah, Garrett, you're wrong, or actually, Matt, Garrett's right. this is how it's going to be. And then you choose your course from there.
Well,
So,
here's what I want to set up a mediation immediately. Like, okay, so I said in that demand the whole 5 day thing. So we're still into that 5 day period. So figure out some way to get some kind of mediation set up with the ombudsman
okay.
and and
I'll probably
yeah,
shoot for next Tuesday if that works for you. What do you think?
is that within the 5 days? I'm not playing games on that. We're not playing on the time. This is out of principle, man. It's nothing else but principle. It's kind of like I told you at the bank. I'm walking to the
Right.
bank. Who would I be if I gave a notice of intent to sue and the deadline came and I didn't sue? Okay, and the only reason why I haven't is because now I'm having to decide between do I whether I want to file the other complaint and then file another one just to have two separate cases against Morgan County, or if I want to just revise what I've got before I even file it.
Or
And
maybe you thought we could work it out. I'm just throwing
that's
that
what
out
this
there
call
because,
is about. But you don't seem to
and
want
that's what
to,
I'm saying. Well,
you
I
know,
mean, it goes both ways, but I mean, you could
I'm
have
not
filed
bending
it.
though.
I know, but you could have filed it Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before we responded, and you didn't. You're going to see what we did, and then I think if we mediate with the ombudsman, see what we do there. I don't have any. I'm not in any opposition to any of that. So, all that
I
being
just like
said,
I just like having a public debate with you on some things, especially on things like this.
well, and it's good for me too, because then I consider other things and say, I guess the hard part is,
Well,
um,
if you start getting a lot of calls about this also, because I guarantee I can tell you that I'm not the only one that thinks that way. That to me, it's pretty common sense. So I would say that there's probably going to be a lot of people that are going to stand behind me on that,
yeah,
and probably will u- utilize their right of redress to stand in support of that.
yeah, and I think that's every right that you have. Um, yeah, Tuesday's still within the 5 days, so I'll reach out. Oh, um, I think you included her on the email actually.
I did, I did.
It's a new one from when I first started. Yeah. Monica. I'll reach
Yeah,
out to Monica. You can reach out. I mean, both of us. I'll reach out and copy you. How about that?
that'll
And
work.
I'll just say let's get on a call on Tuesday the 13th and we can chat through it a little bit more. That
Okay,
sound okay?
sounds good, man.
All right.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Take care. You too.